Welcome back. If you watched the other video called Learning Part 1, either yesterday or the day before, you would know what time it is. Unfortunately, in that video, I actually lost one of the clips somehow. I was talking for probably 10 minutes and somehow the video was only 5 seconds long. So yeah, to run you guys back up to speed, I basically start with, actually that's not from that. I start with, this part was in the video. I started with basically like, let's look at what learning is by the definition. And there's two types of definitions. There's the general population, like Merriam-Webster, Oxford dictionaries. And then there's field-specific dictionaries, like philosophical definition of learning, the neuroscience definition of learning, the psychological definition of learning, and the computer science / AI definition of learning, the biological definition of learning. So basically I'm like, what do we know about learning? The thing I'm most certain about is it's a word. And I'm also very certain that it's an English word. So I basically said, what are words? We dove into what words are. The origination of words being physical things used for communication. You can write them, you can speak them. Right, there's a phonetic, like the speaking portion of words, how they originated before writing. The evolution of language, the abstraction of language. Learning is not like a literal physical thing like this pen. Learning is not something you can hold, you can touch. It's a concept that's an abstraction. And yeah, basically had a lot of realizations during this. Like, I literally just realized that I could not do this without language. You can't think like this without language. You can't think about thinking. You can't think about language without language. What would thinking be without language? Also, I couldn't have done really any of this without a large language model such as ChatGPT that I was using. Like in the past, you were really limited to your resources. Like if you had a library, that would be big, but it would just take so much more time. Talked about then the cognitive revolution about 70,000 years ago, and the evolution of language of being around that time. Actually, probably proto-language and language evolving hundreds of thousands of years ago, so before the cognitive revolution, but really the abstraction likely occurred, and the development of language and evolution of language really occurred after the cognitive revolution began. And so where I left off was, how do I determine the best definition of learning? And I said dictionaries, encyclopedias, and thinking. So now it is time to go deep into the definitions of learning and see what is similar across definitions of learning, what it holds true across all definitions of learning. Right now, my loose understanding of the definition of learning is it's an event in which a system changes in order to respond differently to a stimulus based on experience. An event in which a system changes in order to, the system physically changes based on experience in order to respond differently to a stimulus. Something like that. That's all right. I mean, at least it's cohesive. But that's to say, what is a system? I don't know. I think it's similar to a network, or it has a network potentially, but like a system is like, it could be a person, is a system, a business is a system, a government is a system, like a market is a system, a biological organism is a system. We have computer systems, economic systems. Like, yeah, that's something I gotta flesh out more. But let's start simply with the definitions of learning. All right, guys, I just got about probably 20 definitions. Two from Merriam-Webster, a lot from Oxford English Dictionary, dictionary.com, Wikipedia, and Encyclopedia Britannica. And a lot of it is like just to gain knowledge and skill. That's kind of what it boils down to when we're talking about human learning, I think. To gain knowledge and skill. What is knowledge and skill? I don't know. We kind of know. Kind of have an idea. Have an idea. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna start reading books on this and documenting it. Huge series, enormous series, maybe the rest of my life, on cognitive psychology, neuroscience, artificial intelligence, machine learning, evolution, and epistemology, and educational science, research, and anything else that goes along with that. So I think the book I'll start on here is Make It Stick by Brown, Roediger, McDaniel. The three authors, and I was reading this pretty much daily, but only like a page or two at a time, or sometimes less, during the last semester of my school. So I was on page 87 of 300-ish. So almost a third. I guess only like 20%, 25%. Prometheus Bound. Aeschylus. Remember, he's the mother of all wisdom. Aeschylus? I don't know who that is. I thought it was a Greek poet, but I don't know how to say the name at least. Learning first principles, the generative effect and testing effect. I got Leap Code, Math Olympiad Training, Physics, and Brilliant, the website. That'd be fun to check out. Top 10 books on teaching. Yeah, this is, I think, where I'll start. And I think I'll read a bit, potentially, and then I'll reflect on camera. And then if I feel so inclined, I'll do like a book review or summary, potentially chapter by chapter too. So that could be a lot of content on one book. That could be like 50 videos on one book. Well, this only has like 10 chapters, so 10 on that, 1 on the summary and review. It's 11-ish, 10 chapters still. But if I read like for 20 minutes and then talked for 5 minutes or more about what I just read every time, 20 minutes, 300 pages, this book would probably take me 15 hours to read. 15 hours, and then you say 25% of that, like 3 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. Pretty close. Yeah. Of content, of me talking, just raw. And Science of Successful Learning. Yeah, this is an important book, so maybe it's worth it. This would be a deep learning book. But yeah, I think that will wrap it up for now.